Ukkikai here. As you probably know, I had a while ago this idea of writing letters to younger me, like who I was 10, 20 years ago. And this is now letter number 9. I'm writing to you about rediscovering the experience of photography. How to feel that sense of excitement again. For me, it began at the point where photography no longer truly interested me. I was still doing it, but mostly out of habit. Something was missing. I needed a change, something new. Buying a new lens or upgrading the latest camera body was no longer enough. I started asking myself, how can I find something really different? The real first shift came around 2014 when I decided to replace my professional Nikon system entirely with Olympus Micro Four Thirds system. It was a big change, not because one system is better than the other, but because they are fundamentally different. The difference pulled me in. Photography felt new again. I often think that if I had simply switched from Nikon to Canon, the change would not have been as meaningful as it was now. The excitement returned. I photograph a lot for a few years. I even made a photo book. Then, almost by accident, through a YouTube video, I became interested in Olympus pen cameras, since I was an Olympus guy now. I started kind of collecting early digital pen models, among them a rare EP1 special edition I have. I began shooting with them, and once again, something shifted. It was fun. At the same time, I started questioning the ongoing discussion around pixels and resolution. I had already felt for a long time that it didn't make any sense. New models are released constantly, yet the differences are often only visible in laboratory conditions and with magnifying glass. I've been part of that race myself, so I want to point out that these are only my thoughts. Recently, I saw a comparison between Fujifilm X-T1 and X-T5 cameras, 8 years apart, several generations in between. Yet, when viewed normally, it was difficult to see meaningful differences in the images. Only when zooming a lot or pushing ISO values did the differences become visible. One camera had 16 megapixels and the other had about 40 megapixels. Still, the question remains, why does this matter so much? For me, photography is not about technical perfection. It is about the moment, the atmosphere, the feeling of an image carries, what it gives back to you. Pixel and resolution are not an essence. Another interesting phenomenon is the growing interest in vintage lenses. Soviet Helios 44 Takuma lenses, Nikon AI and pre-AI lenses, and so forth. They are valued precisely because they produce imperfect images. swirling bokeh, softness, small flaws, different colors, things that were once considered weaknesses. Now people are willing to pay more for them than what they were in when they were new. And what do? We attach them to the most advanced modern cameras with adapters in order to make the image less perfect. That is fascinating. Perhaps we are trying to move away from something. The overly clean, overly digital images. Modern cameras are incredibly advanced. Processors, CMOS sensors, precision optics. But what about the feeling? When we look at the photographs by Henri Cartier-Bresson or Ansel Adams, we do not think about resolution. We experience them. They take us to those moments. Technically, they do not meet today's standards, and still they speak to us. Why? Because they are not defined by technical perfection. They carry presence, rhythm, a human imperfection. The image is not sterile, it's alive. And perhaps that is exactly what we are missing today. We are dealing with too clean photographs. So we begin to search for it again through our tools, with vintage lenses, with film, or even with digital photography by choosing cameras that do not strive for perfection in the same way. For example, early CCD sensor cameras often render tones and textures in a way that feels less clinical. They have certain character, something that reminds us that an image is not just the data, but an experience. Of course, context matters. A commercial photographer in a studio may need absolute technical perfection. But what about the rest of us? Those who photograph because it feels meaningful. Today, only a small percentage of photographers truly need maximum resolution, yet most of us are drawn towards it. That feels strange. As for me, I have decided to go in another direction. I want to work with CCD sensor cameras and older lenses. They are affordable, unpredictable, and above all, fun. And in the end, isn't that what photography should be? Because there is the quiet irony here. We invented digital photography to escape the limitations of film. And now we are trying to bring those limitations back. One day you will understand. It was never about perfection, only about how it felt. Writing you from the shores of Lake Saimaa, sincerely, Ukki Kai.